we have had to change kind of how we approach doing what we've historically called the project rides, where we go through the region and look at the projects that are proposed for funding in our next work plan and tip. So last year we were not able to do it because of COVID restrictions, and I think that Diane did a great job last year putting together a video, and this year she wanted it to be a little bit more interactive. So Diane's gonna take over for this one and go through her presentation.
I'm going to share my screen. There. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So this year, again, as Sarah said, we were not able to do our typical project ride due to all the COVID restrictions. So I put together this presentation of a virtual project ride. This year, we will be visiting 10 sites. But before we head out, I wanted to take a step back and let you know how these 10 projects were selected. Let's first talk about the money. BACTS capital improvement funding is based on an 80-10-10 split. 80% of the dollars come from federal highway, 10% comes from Maine DOT, and the final 10% or more is made up by the applicant municipality. Our current federal and state funding for our annual allocation remains at $2,223,135. All member municipalities are given the opportunity to submit project proposals through the work plan application process. Proposals are screened for completeness and then scored based on the BACTS prioritization and selection policy and presented to the TIP Advisory Committee. All proposals submitted for funding consideration must be for projects on a collector or arterial roadway within the BACTS capital boundary. Proposals have to have clear project limits and a scope of work. All proposals must be consistent with the BACTS long-range metropolitan transportation plan, other BACTS transportation plans or studies, or local comprehensive plans. There are two types of projects a municipality can submit. Those are roadway projects, which include reconstruction, rehabilitation, preservation, and standalone sidewalk projects. The second type is operation and safety improvements, or OSI. This category includes work being done to any part of a signal system, including ADA upgrades and improvements. Sometimes a project, depending on the complexity of it, may only be funded through the preliminary engineering stage in order to determine a good cost estimate. All project types are scored against each other and can receive a maximum of 100 points. Scoring is based on a set of criteria. Those include traffic volumes, pavement condition, safety, and congestion. Applications can also receive points if they are on a preferred truck route, community connector bus route, are making improvements to pedestrian or bicycle facilities, or if this is a continuation of a project which was completed in the last 5 years. After completing the scoring process, BACTS staff presents a project list to the TIP Advisory Committee based on the highest to the lowest score. The committee then develops a priority list of projects and recommends this list to the policy committee. Independent project estimates are then developed by a consultant. While we wait for the scopes and estimates to be developed, please join me on the trolley as we see the priority projects. As I said, we will be visiting 10 sites. And with the help of technology, ARAN Van Video, and Google Earth, we will be dropping into locations or writing the project perimeters. The order in which we will see them is not based on their score, but by municipality. First, we will go to Bangor, then Brewer, and we will wrap up our tour in Orono. Everyone get on the trolley. It's time to head out. This is project number 1. It is located in Bangor and is an operation and safety improvement project located at the intersection of Conduskey Avenue and Griffin Road. John Terrio, I'm going to turn this over to you as I start the video and you can discuss the details of that project.
Okay, this project is pretty much just a complete single replacement, traffic signal replacement due to age and condition of the equipment that's out there. We also looked at considering a turn lane coming from Conduskey heading out of town But I guess Sewell looked at that. I mean, this is a repeat project. It was in the scope last go around. And they kind of ran what they had for traffic volumes at the intersection, and they said it didn't warrant a left turn lane. So we probably won't look at that right now, but when we place equipment for the traffic signal, we may place it so that if future widening is necessary, it can accommodate it. So that's about it for that one.
Great.
Anyone have any questions?
Any questions for John? Okay, we'll move on to the next project. This is project number 2. It's a preservation project in Bangor and is located on Outer Hammond Street, beginning at the town line and extending to Hammond Street Extension. In these pictures, I've highlighted some of the distressed areas on this route. And John, again, I'll turn it back over to you as I start the video.
Yeah, the project, it's about 2,300 linear feet of roadway, or 0.44 miles. The roadway is typically about 40 feet wide out there, including the shoulders. What we're looking to do there is just, I don't even think we need to mill the location. I think we'll probably look at just placing an 1.5 inch of wear and course through the project limits, and that's about it. So it's really, this is purely a preservation project to keep the pavement in decent shape. I should have thought of more stuff to say since your video is longer than I could talk.
If anybody has any questions for John about the project, feel free to speak up. Okay, hearing no questions, we'll move on to the next project. This is project number 3. It is also a preservation project, and it's located in Bangor on Union Street. The project limits go from Davis Road to Griffin Road. And these photos show, again, some of the distressed areas that I found while out looking at the project myself. Again, I'm going to start the video. John, go ahead and take it over and give us some detailed information.
Again, this is about 8,000 feet of roadway, generally 40 feet wide. You know, we're thinking it'll probably be a mill and overlay for the project. We've had a lot of complaints on this section of Union Street between Griffin and Davis Road, which is still in the compact area. DOT did a project not too long ago outbound of Davis Road. And if anyone goes out there and looks at it today, Public Works just did an overlay of this area, like a half inch overlay. So it actually looks fantastic, but don't be deceived. You know, this is something that we had to do that because it was in such rough shape. And, you know, hopefully in the future we get this thing funded. And I guess, I don't know if Aaron has anything else he wants to add on that piece of roadway.
Nothing to add, other than in the beginning there near Griffin, it is an extra lane.
Yeah.
It's a little bit wider.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions for John or Aaron? As we wind up the travel down here.
All right.
And you can see what John was talking about in the distress on the road. It was in pretty bad shape. So I was pleased to see some sort of payment on it. And I went back out the other day.
Yeah, we had received several phone calls. That I think people were calling the state as well to bug them to do work on it, and they were bouncing them over to us. So it's definitely needed. And I suspect that, you know, little shim layer we put on, it'll get us a couple of years. So when the project is available to be done, it'll probably tie in nicely.
Okay, and we'll go on to project number 4. So project number 4 is a preservation project located in Bangor on Ohio Street. And this project starts at Bean Estates and extends to Bailey Street. As you see, again, I've highlighted some of the distressed areas on the road in these photos. And as, again, I start the video, John, go ahead and take it over and give the details.
So this is about 4,200 feet of pavement. It's typically 30 feet wide. It's in pretty rough shape. The shoulder, there's locations where there's shoulder and then there's not shoulder, so it makes it challenging for bicyclists. So I suspect this will be a mill and overlay and possibly a shoulder widening to make the shoulder more continuous, to improve biker ability. There you can see it kind of falls apart in the video there. So anyhow, that's it.
Does anybody have any questions for John regarding this project?
All very, very needed projects.
Yes. Okay. And we'll move on to the next one. Project number 5 is also a preservation project in Bangor. It is on Cumberland Street and it begins at Broadway and continues to Harlow Street. Again, here are some photos that are focusing on the distressed areas of this project. And just like before, John, go ahead and start your details and I start the video.
All right, so this is actually an in-town project. It's much shorter. It's about 1,600 linear feet. Curb to curb width is about 30 feet. I expect this will be an 1.5 to 2 inch mill and overlay in that area. Improve some of the drainage structures are out there. We've got curb reveal that's gone in a lot of locations, so we'll probably do some relaying of granite curb and a little bit of sidewalk work out there as well. But this one's actually, with regards to the conditions of the roadway, this one appears to be one of the more severe conditions, at least when you go out there and ride it. That's it.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for John on this one? Okay, we're going to leave Bangor now and head to Brewer with project number 6 in Brewer. This is an operation and safety improvement project in Brewer located at the intersection of Parkway South and Wilson Street. These photos here are just showing some of the items that will be replaced as part of this project, but I'm going to go ahead and drop into the intersection. And Jeremy, go ahead and take it away and get the details of the project.
Thanks, Diane. Yeah, this one is, we're mostly looking, the PED buttons don't meet the current standard according to DOT, so we're looking to upgrade those. This is probably one of our heaviest used pedestrian crossings just because it's such a busy area and it's so hard to cross Wilson Street. So we'd like to get the appropriate talking buttons. As you can see from the video, it's a kind of a mixed bag of PED buttons out there right now because we've just tried to make it work as best we can. And then also the cameras at this intersection are no longer supported by Econolite because they're so old. So we'd like to upgrade these cameras to get a new camera that would be supported. That's about it for this intersection.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy. Anybody have any questions for Jeremy on this project? All right, we'll move on to the next project. Project number 7 is a preservation project located in Brewer on State Street, and the project limits span from the Penobscot Bridge to Eastern Avenue. These are some areas of distress as well as some ADA improvements that Jeremy talked about somewhere around Washington Street. I'm going to go ahead and start the video, Jeremy. You can go ahead and provide us with the details of the project.
So on State Street, we've got a lot of utility patches that have happened over the years, and the road is in very bad shape. And coming up the hill from the Penobscot Bridge, there's just such heavy turning traffic. It's getting worn out pretty well, making that corner up on the North Main Street heading towards Route 9. At State and Washington, we're looking to do, there's some ramp work needed to do, and then update those pedestrian crossings as well so that they meet current standards for DOT. And this project would tie onto an MPI project that we're doing next year that finish up State Street.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Jeremy regarding this project? Okay, moving on to the next. Project number 8 is a preservation project also located in Brewer. It's on Parkway South. It begins at the I-395 bridge joint and extends to Wilson Street. These photos again show some highlights of some areas of distress, as well as for ADA upgrades near the high school and the I-395 ramps. And Jeremy, I'm going to go ahead and start the video and you can go ahead and give us details. Do you want me to stay on this for a minute? This is the I-395 ramp area I think you were talking about, and right in here, I believe, is where you wanted to put in the RRFB.
Yes, yeah, we can start right here. So as part of the heads up report that Patrick Adams issued this January, this area of pavement had actually multiple sections of that report where it had issues that it was looking to address. The first one is crossing the on-ramp for 395. They'd like to realign that to make it safer for pedestrians so they'd be more visible. Because as it currently stands, when you're sitting at that crossing, you might be not seen by vehicles if they're coming in from Wilson Street to turn there. So they'd like to make some changes to the alignment of that to make it a little bit more safe. And then also by the high school, they were looking to, because that crossing crosses at an angle and it's a very long crossing, they were hoping to create a new ramp area and put in an RRFB because it's a heavily used crossing right there to go from the high school back and forth to different areas along Derigo Drive and so forth. So that those are the safety improvements that they'd like to see done over the next few years. So we thought it would make sense to package them in with this whole project.
And you can go ahead and talk more in regards to the actual pavement piece now, if you want.
Sure. So similar to Bangor, we last year put a Band-Aid on this area to make it last, hopefully for a little bit longer. High used area, we've got some bad wheel rutting starting to happen on the center 2 lanes. Looking to probably do a 1.5 inch mill and fill this whole area here. We have some joints coming apart when we get closer to the intersection. But yeah, looking to do a 1.5 inch mill and fill through here.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Jeremy on any of the pieces of this project? Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Project number 9 is a preservation project located also in Brewer. It's on Wilson Street, and this project begins at Bartlett Street and continues to Down East Toyota. These photos again are showing some areas of serious distress. And Jeremy, I'm going to go ahead and start the video. You can go ahead and give the details of the project.
So this is a continuation of the last phase of Wilson Street we did that was in very bad shape by the time we got it repaved. We're seeing a lot of the similar issues that we were seeing on that road, a lot of rutting, a lot of joints coming apart, and we're trying to maintain it with patching right now. We do have a few areas that just keep opening up, particularly by the car wash is a bad area for us. And then we're also have a few repairs that were done between Bengal Gas and Water Department and so forth, that those trenches are settling and opening back up. So it's a constant maintenance nightmare for us.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Jeremy regarding this project? Okay, hearing none. We're going to leave the city of Brewer and we're going to head up to Orono for our final, least but not last project. Last but not least, I guess that's how it should be said. And this is project number 10. It is a preservation project located in Orono on Park Street. The project limits begin at Boulder Drive and end at the Old Town line. These photos show some of the distressed areas of this road However, I do need to say, when I went up to ride this project, I thought I had a flat tire. So much so that I stopped, got out, looked at all 4 tires, only to discover it was not a flat tire, it was the road. I'm going to go ahead and start the video, and Rob Yerksa, I'm going to turn it over to you to give more details.
Yeah, so this is a piece of Route 2, so what our town calls Park Street. It's a DOT minor arterial that is about, I guess it's about 3/10 of a mile, 2/3 of a mile, about a little over 3,000 feet. The road condition is degrading quickly. It's got a ton of cracking that goes across the road, so you get those transverse cracks as well as some pretty significant rutting. We've done a little bit of patching here and there to try to keep things up, but it's due for something more significant. It's a pretty straightforward kind of either a structural overlay or a mill and fill preservation type project that I think is a pretty important piece to our region. It's a primary access point for not only just the connection between Orono and Old Town, but is used as a primary commuting route for people going to the University of Maine from anyone north and east of Orono. So it sees quite a bit of traffic, and as I said, the condition is degrading quickly. So we'd like to see this one go for sure.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Does anybody have any questions for Rob?
I just want to make sure I heard correctly, Rob, that you said that this is arterial road.
Minor arterial, I believe.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, well, this does conclude our trip. So what comes next? Well, the TIP Advisory Committee is going to meet again in July to look at the prioritized list again once we do have the scope and estimates all developed. We will then determine which projects will make the final cut based on our funding restrictions. The Advisory Committee will make the final recommendations to the Policy Committee at the July meeting. And does anybody have any questions in regards to any of the projects or the process that we go through to get to this determination? And if you do, you can reach out to me directly, or if you have them right now, you can go ahead and ask and we can do any clarification. I do want to also remind people that this has been recorded. We are going to be editing out this section of the recording so that we can post the project ride on our YouTube channel as we did last year, so that we can share it with the public.